This video is for those people who are navigating job search in the tough market like this, and we are also going to understand what is the mindset of a product leader in a big tech company like Atlassian. So we'll meet Vik Gambhir, who is a product lead in Atlassian, and we'll hear from him directly. He will share about his personal struggles and why he started his particular services business where he is helping others. So without wasting your time, let's get started. If you're new to my channel, then click on the subscribe button because I have started a podcast series with all the industry leaders, and a lot of industry leaders will be coming on my podcast. So if you don't want to miss it, then click on the subscribe button now.
I have Vik Gambhir with me. So hey Vik, welcome to the podcast.
Cool. Hi, Rupinder. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. What about you?
Hey, pretty good. I was in Trimbakeshwar for the weekend, so I just came back. So
Nice.
relaxing, much relaxed now. Yes.
Nice. Okay, cool. If you can give your quick introduction about yourself.
Yes. So I graduated in 2006 in India, and then I've been working in tech since then. So coming up to 20 years now, and I had taken a break of 2 years to travel with my wife. So we went traveling this was about 10 years ago, and in the 18 years that I've worked in tech, I started my career in DevOps. So the first 8 to 10 years were in DevOps. Then I joined Atlassian about 10 years ago, and I've had different roles in Atlassian. The most recent one is a product lead. And along with my work, like professional work, I also run a career coaching business, which I've been running for the past 5 to 6 years. And I've helped about, I think, at least 300 people land jobs across the globe. India, US, Europe, Australia, all over the place. Yes.
Wow. That's really amazing. So for my audience, I think I connected with Vik for more than 1 year maybe now. So we have been like chatting a lot on different things, and that's why I wanted to invite him to my podcast. So as you can already see, Vik has more than 20 years of experience, and he has also helped a lot of people in getting their dream jobs. So this is a big quality of Vic that I really love. He loves to help people on different aspects. So yeah, okay. So now we can get started to our question. So Vic, since you are working as a product lead in Atlassian, what is your mindset as a leader in a big tech company?
So the funny thing is, like, every company is having to reinvent itself because of how fast AI is changing things. So any roadmap that was there 3 months ago is no longer valid, or
Hmm.
leadership is okay with invalidating your roadmap from 3 months ago. Like, that's
Hmm.
a very big change that is coming in, and companies are having to adopt very, very fast, not just to what they see in the market, but also to what the competition is doing.
Hmm.
But one thing is becoming very, very clear, that like AI or technology is not your moat anymore. What data you have, how interconnected that data is. Like, AI is only as powerful as the person using it
Hmm.
and the context that your AI can have to make more informed. Like, for an agent to replace a human, they don't just need good CPU, they don't just need good LLMs, they also need a lot of contextual data. So
Right.
companies that have been in the business for the past 20, 25 years, that have a lot of customers across the globe, that have a good understanding of how interconnected they are, what customers do with what data. So if an end user comes to your company website and they ask a question, if a company has information around how that information is looked up internally on the other side of the business, those companies will have a very big advantage because AI needs that context to
Hmm.
be able to stand out. So companies that are able to leverage that will potentially succeed, but not that doesn't mean that that is enough for them. Like, they still have to innovate. They have to
Yeah.
open up their platform. So in the past, they had to open up their platform only to marketplace apps. So install a plugin that was building onto what capability they gave. But now that is not limited to what an app can do. Like, agents and MCP is basically opening up your platform to everything. You can integrate with IDs, you can integrate with
Hmm.
third-party apps. You can, like, initially in the past, search had to be limited to your products.
Yeah.
Now, by default, search has to search through everything that your customer is using. So in
Right.
Atlassian, like, they have Rovo, which is their like chat agent, or the main chat AI LLM, or the main agent that they support, or the main AI capability that they have. And when you search with Rovo, it has to search across everything that the customer is using. It could be Google Space, it could be their workspace, it could be Microsoft. Regardless of what software it is,
Hmm.
like, context is becoming more and more important than the
Important.
tools
Yeah.
that you use.
That's
Yes,
right. That's right.
that is sort of the main shift that is happening.
Yep. And so in the start, you mentioned that in the 3 months, every company is changing that. I've also seen that same trend. So in that scenario, how should candidates prepare themselves for these kind of layoffs plus like how they can then position themselves for different interviews in big tech companies. So how would you think of that?
So one thing that a lot of candidates need to do now, which they did not have to do in the past, is like to stand out from the crowd, your online presence is becoming a big key factor. So, presence on LinkedIn, a portfolio that you have. But even with a portfolio, in the past, just having a project live used to be good enough for a portfolio. Now that no longer works.
Hmm.
So, because creating a project, if say you're a PM and you have a customer support app or you have an app, a shopping app, like a marketplace app, in the past, building a marketplace app was a very big thing. Now, with Lovable, with a lot of these other platforms like Emergent,
Yeah.
or even with Claude, you can do that in a day or at max in a week. You can have
Hmm.
a fully functioning website similar to eBay, similar to Airbnb in less
Hmm.
than a week. And
Yeah.
when I say fully functional, everything is there you can have. But with your with your portfolio, with your prototype, if you can actually demonstrate that you were able to get people to pay or
Hmm.
use your product, that portfolio will be valuable. Just having an online portfolio is useless anymore. It
Hmm.
makes no sense. It is zero meaning now because anybody can build it. And a lot of the youngsters are doing it much faster and much better than a lot of the seasoned. So that's one thing that is changing.
Hmm.
Second thing, like for interviews at big tech companies, referrals are becoming more and more important. Not because the way referrals get sent out have changed, but because tailoring your resume, AI applying has made it so easy that people are not even sitting in front of a computer and applying to 200 jobs in a day.
Hmm.
So recruiters are inundated with the number of applicants that are coming in, with the number of like I've seen, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've seen a lot of memes on social media where within 1 hour of the job being posted, there were 1,000 applicants or five,
Yeah.
1,500 applicants. And it could
Yeah.
also be true, like with how AI systems work, that's also possible. So for a recruiter to actually sit through and read through so many applications is not possible.
Hmm.
So
Right.
recruiters are then defaulting to using referrals or candidates they know from the past experience or people who they regularly see on LinkedIn
Hmm.
as the first pool of applicants they look through, as opposed to the applicants that are actually coming in. So that is becoming a big shift. And even in the interviews that people are going in, being able to talk about what business metrics you influence is becoming more critical than just explaining what work you do. So, end of the day, companies are becoming very sensitive to revenue, to what growth you can bring, or
Hmm.
what savings you can do within the company. So, unless your work cannot tie back to one of these, showing your worth in an interview is becoming very hard because a lot of
Hmm.
candidates are available in the market because
Yeah.
of the layoffs and how the market is.
Right, right, right. So I think Vic mentioned this point that online presence is very important. So when we connected, we both had similar amount of, LinkedIn connections, roughly around 7 to 8,000. Now Vic is at 35K plus, and I'm roughly at 12K plus. So we both have grown at a very good speed. I can say Vic has grown much faster because he's utilizing these AI tools that he mentioned very effectively. Okay, his online presence is very good, so you can check out his profile. I'm sharing the link in the description. You can go and check out his profile. And you can learn from his post how he writes, how he uses chat gpt. So it's very important that you build your online presence. And it's also very important that, like Vic mentioned, that if you are building a prototype, you should have the live customers which will help you gain attention on LinkedIn. That's why online presence is very important, and that's how you can stand out from the crowd. So this is a big key takeaway from what Vic has shared. Okay. Now, Vic, I see that you also run a business around helping others. So then, first question comes to my mind, like why you wanted to help others when you started your business.
So, before starting this business, I did other businesses that I couldn't make work. So I
Hmm.
ran I was in Sydney for the past 12 years. I've just moved back to India. So I ran an online marketplace with some friends, with two of my friends, where we were trying to get teachers from India to teach students in Australia. So like, if
Oh.
somebody wanted to learn maths, if somebody wanted to learn physics, like one-on-one classes or even group classes in Sydney are $50 per class, which is quite expensive. That's
Hmm.
roughly 3,000 just for one 45-minute session. So what we were trying to do was we were trying to see if we could get for the same price, a teacher in India who can do 3 sessions. So basically, a client in Sydney gets 3 times the number of sessions that they would do for what they pay in Australia. And we could generate a revenue for people in India and make our own share as well.
Hmm.
But we ran into other challenges. We couldn't, it was very hard to validate somebody who claims to be a teacher
Yeah.
doing background checks, or like running a marketplace in theory is very different. Running a marketplace in reality is very, very different. Then
Exactly.
I tried that. I tried a few other things, did not work as well. Then I launched a resume writing course. Um, I did not get a lot of paying customers, but I got a lot of free customers whenever I would give out free courses. I have had students from at least 30 to 40 different countries around the world who've taken up my course, left me a lot of feedback. So
Hmm.
because I don't come from an HR or a talent background, so I'm
Hmm.
not, but at work, I sit on a lot of interview panels. I've done probably 500, 600 interviews, if not more. I've reviewed thousands of CVs. So I innately have a sense of what good hiring or recruiting looks like, but I'm not officially a recruiter. But when I made my course and I got very good traction on it, people started reaching out from my course asking for help. So the first person who reached out to me was somebody working in Amazon in India. And I also knew him through a friend. He wanted to land a job in Europe in very specific roles in very specific companies. So I worked with him. I didn't charge him that much, but I worked with him for about 6 months. And things take time. So people expect like wonders to happen overnight. It took us 6 months, but within 6 months, he was able to land a job in Europe, get relocation, get visa sponsorship. Very hard to do from India, but he was able to do it because he was very patient. He was following what I was trying to help out with, giving
Hmm.
him all the guidance. So we were doing like monthly sessions, building a roadmap for him. So when that happened, he referred some of his friends. Once I got confidence that I can help people do this, I started getting more feedback on my course. Then I started advertising it on LinkedIn, tried to run a website. Website did not give me a lot of traction. But
Hmm.
then that's when I realized that if I don't have a strong presence on LinkedIn, I cannot promote things because that's where people are going for job search. So
Yeah.
that's the de facto platform across the globe. So slowly I started doing this. In Australia, I started doing career coaching in some boot camps that already run. So it took 2, 3 years to get it off the ground. And then
Hmm.
last 3 years, I've been doing it as a proper business.
Hmm.
I help at least 20 to 30 people every month where I
Hmm.
write their resumes, I write their LinkedIn profiles, I write their cover letters. And in all of this, a big factor was also my LinkedIn presence. So till about May last year, I was very slow. Like I used to post on LinkedIn, but
Hmm.
I used to post maybe 2, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And I used to post very specific content to career coaching.
Yeah.
Then I realized that like funnels work very differently. So I then first I optimize my profile for a career coaching business, but even that is not enough because people need to know you exist. So
Hmm.
comments are a great way to leverage that. So I started leveraging comments to start with. At one point, I had a list of 30 different creators I used to follow, and I knew exactly when they were going to post. I had calendar reminders when their posts were coming out. I used to be the first person, like the first 5 to 10 people commenting on the post, writing very good comments. That helped me get a lot of traction. I
Hmm.
have comments that have 200,000 impressions, which
Yeah.
people don't even get on their post. So I started with that. Then I started posting 3 times a day. I use ChatGPT very extensively. Like ideas are my own, but I use
Hmm.
ChatGPT very extensively to write, to
Yeah.
brainstorm. So I did things over time. And then the good thing about running a business is that you learn a lot of things, not just for running the business. You get revenue, like you get money out of it. That's another thing. But the best thing you get is you realize that you're not just dependent on a job or a skill set that you acquired 20 years ago. So you are
Exactly.
building a system. And with how the world is going, online presence is going to help quite a lot. And I'm not at a stage where I can command a lot of money just for doing collab posts and everything,
Hmm.
but I'm not too far away from that. So by the end of the
Yeah.
year, that itself will become a big revenue stream
Yeah. Yeah.
comparable to a lot of other things that I do. So that has been the motivation to do multiple things.
Nice, nice. So I think Vic has already shared this entire blueprint how you can be successful on LinkedIn. And like I mentioned earlier as well, like Vic was roughly at 7 to 10,000 between of that number, and now he's at 35K. You can see how much hard work he has put in and how much that hard work has given him. So this is what you can exactly do. If you want to reach out to him for LinkedIn growth, for resume writing business, anything, we can help you with that. I'm going to share his details in the description so you can check out that as well. And I'm 100% sure that if you trust him, then definitely you're going to reap the benefits out of it as well. So thank you so much, Vic, for sharing this personal journey. It was really amazing to learn about it. And so one problem that we usually see is that people don't know how to quantify their impact on resume without sounding like numbers are being made up. So how do you, like suggest the candidates what should they do on that?
So one of the big mistakes people do is that because they can't understand how to quantify, they don't quantify.
Hmm.
That is sort of the like it's okay to have numbers in every single line, then not have any numbers at all. So if you're not sure, overdo it, that's fine. The thing that people get carried away, they start lying on the resume. And recruiters are scanning hundreds of resumes for the same jobs day in, day out. So you can't really say I'm a developer, but I've impacted $20 million worth of revenue. They
Yeah.
know that's not how they do. So don't lie with the numbers. if you put realistic numbers, no recruiter will complain that you have too many numbers. Like that's the
Hmm.
first thing to remember.
Yeah.
The second thing to remember is a lot of people still think of their work as the task that has been given to them. So I build a feature, I
Hmm.
build a web page, I build a UI. Recruiters, like with how the competition is, with how the world is going, that is no longer enough. So you, even though your team may not think of the revenue that it's impacting, you need to start thinking of it that way. And if you can't come up with a number, if you don't know the number, you can use LLMs, you can talk to people at work. It's not hard to find the numbers. You can use chat gpt, you can use other tools to figure, like, the numbers have to be realistic.
Yeah.
The numbers have to, like, you can't say that you are a developer and you impacted 20 million revenue or even 1 million revenue,
Hmm.
because no single developer in India can contribute to 5 crores worth of revenue or 10 crores. That's not realistic. But if you say your team built a feature that drove the revenue up by 20% from 1 million to 1.2 million, that is realistic. People will understand that.
Yeah.
Or you built a feature that increased the amount. So you have to be realistic, but not quantifying is going to, like, do
Hurt a
disservice
lot.
to you very much.
Hmm.
That's one challenge. Second thing is, if you can't do it for 10 bullet points, 20 bullet points, do it for one or two and bring those to the top. Don't
Yep.
hide them below. And the other thing that people don't realize is that they write too much in their resume. So recruiters don't have the time to read everything. Initially, when they're scanning, they're probably spending 10 seconds on your CV. So in the 10 seconds, you have to sell yourself to them, and not like, if they're hiring for a data engineer, they clearly know what a data engineer is supposed to do. You build warehouses, you build pipelines, you do instrumentation, you write queries. They don't need to read that again and again. They already know all of that. What you need to tell them is the warehouse that you built, how many customers is it serving? What is the uptime? How it has increased the report generation? Like, that's the kind of thing they want to see. And not to say that other data engineers are not doing that. But what you're probably missing is that a recruiter is reading your CV, looking for 3 to 4 bullet points that they can pitch to the hiring manager. So unless you give them that answer, they will move on to the next CV that can answer it for them. That's the main place where it helps out. And numbers are also useful because if you write about a project that is very impactful or that is standing out quite a lot,
Hmm.
your interview discussions will be about that, because your hiring manager, people you're interviewing, are going to read that. So you also get to control what the discussion is in the interview.
Right.
So you
Right.
have to have it. There is nowhere. And if in 2026, with everything that is, like, with how easily information can be sourced online, if you're still saying you can't correlate or quantify, then it is a problem with you, not really with
Hmm.
what you need to do. So you are
Yeah.
sort of not doing the hard work in doing that.
Right. Right. So I think that's the one big key takeaway again from this point, that if your work is moving the business needle, then definitely that has to be highlighted. This is how you can move the interview in one direction, and how you can control the impact of your bullet points, and how you can justify those points. So all those things are very important whenever you're trying to write your resume. So resume is your first impression. If you're not doing it right, then it is very difficult to crack that dream job. So it's very important that you quantify those numbers properly and impactfully.
Yeah. And
Cool.
just one thing
Hmm.
to add to the, like, even in the career summary or no matter where it is in the resume, always write in bullet points, because it's very, very easy to read when you write in bullet points as opposed to paragraphs.
Yeah.
Paragraphs get very mumbo jumbo. So it's very hard to, for a recruiter, you want, like, what you want the recruiter to take away after reading your resume for 10 seconds is, these are the top 2 or 3 things why we need to interview Rupinder, or why we
Mhm.
need to, like,
Yeah.
if they can get that answer, then they can tell the same thing to the hiring manager. That's
Yep.
how the discussion is going to go.
Right, right. And I think it's very, very good point that whenever your resume is shortlisted, the chances become very high that whatever you have mentioned, you are
Yes.
already one of the probable candidates, and chances become very high that you can get that job offer if you don't mess up in the interview. So I think then resume becomes a very important part of your interview process.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And let's say if you're hiring for some role, and what specifically you will look for as a hiring manager?
I think the, like, if I was hiring for a role, the key thing I would look for is how easily somebody, like, how clearly people can explain things to technical or non-technical people. Like, that's one of the key things. And the second thing I would look for is how connected they are to the customer.
Hmm,
So if you are somebody in a big company and you say you don't understand the customer problems, chances are that you will not build the right things for solving those problems. So
exactly.
how close you are to the customer, regardless of what your role is. You could be a architect, you could be a principal PM, you could be like, doesn't matter what role you do, unless
Hmm.
you understand the customer and where your revenue is coming from, and you're not good at articulating how you will solve those problems, it's going to be very challenging, regardless of where you hire, regardless
Hmm.
of whether if I am hiring or if somebody else is hiring. Like that is one, like those two things. And third thing is likability in an interview is very, very important,
Hmm.
because people want to see that they can work with you for the next 1, 2, 5, 10 years. If you don't come across as a likable person in the interview, like and there is no easy way to sort of define likability.
Yeah.
Some people, but there is what do you say? There is a programmable way to do it. So I did one interview in the past with somebody. I cleared all my rounds. In the last round, it was like a culture fit interview.
Yeah.
So before the interview, I researched everything about that person. I knew they did a lot of motorcycle rides. I knew that they were into hiking. I knew that they enjoyed traveling quite a lot. I knew that they had a GitHub profile, that they would code in a particular language. So casually in the interview, I was like one of the questions I got
Hmm.
asked in the interview is, what do you do outside of work? So I mentioned I'd taken a travel break 3 years ago, and I did a motorcycle trip in Ladakh for 2 months. Now,
Hmm.
immediately there was a connection that was
Yeah.
built. So 30 minutes in the interview, we were just talking about travel.
Hmm.
So if you can turn that discussion into like your interview into a discussion and have common points, likability automatically comes in. Like that's the first
Yep.
thing. Plus, with how the world works, there is so much information available about people. It's so easy to find common interests.
Yep.
Your interest could be around gaming, could be around books, could be around movies, could be travel. Doesn't matter what the interest is. You need to be able to bring the discussion to that. And the only way to do that is if you do your research well.
Yep.
Unless you do your research, you can't do like none of this can happen impromptu. This can't, no matter how impromptu it sounds. Like in my interview, it sounded impromptu that I mentioned travel, I mentioned taking a road trip, but it's all rehearsed, it's all planned. And
Yeah.
that's how all successful interviews are. So you
Yep.
have to do your research. One other thing that people mistake when they get an interview call, they don't ask who is going to interview me.
Hmm.
And pretty much all like I've never seen a company where a recruiter is not allowed to disclose who your interviewer is, unless there is some weird policy where they may not. But in majority cases, recruiters will tell you who is going to interview you. So you ask for that information, ask for their LinkedIn profiles, and do your research. Do a little bit of online stalking, understand what they do,
Yep.
see what their recent posts are, if they're popular on Instagram, if they have a blog that they write, and even if it's an older blog, like try and understand who they are as a person outside of work. That will help you find what to talk about in your interview.
Yep.
And that's how likability will come in. So in hiring, that is very, very important, because subconsciously also people hire people even though
Hmm.
they don't want to accept it. So a lot of hiring happens, like, or a lot of bias in hiring comes
Yep.
subconsciously.
Yep. Yep. I think that's a really good point. Understanding the key aspects or traits of someone will definitely help people land those interviews. I think that's a really good point. Okay, and since we can see a lot of AI buzzword is happening these days, a lot of AI trends we can see, this company is doing that, this company is doing that. So as a product lead, what do you think, where is product management headed in the upcoming years because of AI? Simply like the impact of AI on product management.
So I think that like there are a couple of areas that are changing. Historically, PMs were just defining what was to be built. Like they were doing customer research, they were working with their teams, working with designers, building wireframes, doing prototypes. Now with LLMs and with how easily and well integrated they are, a PM can pretty much do the customer research, write SQL queries using plain English,
Hmm.
synthesize all the customer research, and build a prototype. So they don't need a data scientist, don't need an analyst, they
Yeah.
don't need a business analyst, they don't need any of these people to build a prototype. And the prototype can actually be a good working prototype. It's not a wireframe anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So PMs who don't adapt to that will get left behind, because other people will stand out very easily. Like standing
Hmm.
out is becoming, the more hands-on you are, the more leverage you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've seen demos at work from some PMs where in the past, if you had to build a tool, you would write up a page and explain. Now people build a prototype, record a Loom video and share it with you. So you can actually see how it is going to work. So that's
Yep.
one piece that is going like very fast prototyping to validate ideas with customers, with your teams, with your leadership is one of the key things that is changing. The second thing that is changing quite a lot is there is too much noise about where a company should invest. because of how fast, like, building is becoming so cheap that companies have to be very mindful of what they invest on. Otherwise, they will get left behind. So
Yeah.
PM's job is actually getting more critical in terms of the strategic side. That if I can do 10 things and all of those 10 things can be built in the same amount of time, what will get the most ROI?
Yeah.
Being able to have a very good sense of that in the short and long term is where the PM role is going to become. Like, building is not the key. Ideas are
What to
also
build
not the
is.
key. Customers are giving you all the ideas that you need.
Yep.
Market research is becoming very easy. Chat GPT can do a lot of research. Gemini can. So research is not the hard part. What will your customers actually pay for? What will stick around? And what will differentiate you from other customers? Like in Atlassian, in the recent, they have an annual event called Team, where they showed teamwork graph, basically how well they can connect with multiple pieces of information from a customer and how reliable, like the context that you can give to an LLM, that is a very big thing because your LLM can now scan through billions of lines of code,
Yeah.
research your
Just
entire
few
knowledge
seconds.
base. So, and you can build any agent, you can integrate with Gemini. So, building an agent is also very cheap now. So, defining which agent will be most valuable for your customer
Exactly.
is where the PM's value is going to come in. Building is no longer the big thing
Bottleneck. Yeah.
anymore.
Right. Yep. Yep. I think it's very important as a PM also. If you are doing the repetitive work, then you should fear. But if you already know what a PM's work actually is, so a PM should, like we very clearly mentioned, that if you don't know what business needle it is moving, what impact it can have to the customers, and 10 different things can be made at the same time, and then what one thing that you should pick. So this is where a PM's job will come in. So moving forward, PM role is already evolving, and you should learn about the prototyping. But one key thing that you should always remember is that PM's role are more inclined towards the strategic side, and moving forward with AI becoming more cheaper, PM's role definitely will be moving more deeper toward the strategic side. So as a PM, you should always learn. Currently, if you are not doing any kind of strategic work, then you should start understanding how the business is working. Even if you are the entry level role, or someone is at the senior PM role, they should always understand why they are picking up some work, why that initiative is being picked up. So I think these kind of, if you can easily get the answers from your organization, then you can definitely stand out in the upcoming times, and you can easily justify your answers why you picked up certain item. Okay.
And one other thing is, like, historically, PMs have not liked writing BRDs, writing user stories. So the good thing is with AI and how fast these things are, PM craft is actually going to get more refined, that they're
Right.
actually going to do that PMs were supposed to do and not
Yeah.
the busy work that they've had to do in the past. So,
Yep.
but a lot of PMs are also not doing that today. So they are not
Hmm.
used to thinking very strategically. So the ones who do will, and PM salaries are through the roof. I
Yep.
work with a lot of people. So salaries are getting higher and higher,
Hmm.
if at all. Like, so
Yeah.
it's a good time to be a PM if you're a good PM. That's sort of
Exactly.
where the line is.
Yeah. So I learned one particular thing, like 2 to 3 questions I should always ask before picking up a question. The first one is, why I want to work at this moment and not any other initiative. That is the first question that any candidate should ask to their hiring managers, or whatever, whoever work is giving to them. And then second question that you should ask is, if I am picking up this work, then what business needle it is moving, because then only you can know if there is another initiative that is generating $10,000 million and this one is only generating $1 million. So this is how you will get to know what impactful item you are working on. So it's very important that you always ask these questions before working on any of the initiatives. Cool. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I think a very really insightful session, Vic. I will share all the details in the description so candidates or like audience can check it out. If anyone wants to reach out to Vic, feel free to reach out to him. He's very active on LinkedIn, and he immediately replies back to you on the LinkedIn within. I can guarantee that within 5 minutes you will receive his revert. So I can bet on that because
Okay.
I've been always reaching out to him on LinkedIn. So feel free
Yeah.
to reach out to him. I think he's really, like, you can already see he has shared a lot of insightful information. So I think, yeah, so that's it. I think, Vic, thank you so much for your time today as well, and we'll meet soon
Not a
again.
problem.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great
Okay.
talking to you as always.
Yeah.
Bye,
Thank
Rupinder.
you. Thank
See
you.
you.
Bye.